Welcome to Lunch and Learn. It's a partnership of the Arkansas HVACR Association and the Arkansas Department of Labor and Licensing HVACR licensing program. Lunch and Learn's mission is to talk about issues of code to help Arkansas HVAC contractors provide better service to their customers. Tony Woodard, Chief Inspector for the state of Arkansas, provides an explanation of issues that seem to be in question. We encourage our industry to grab a burger and tune in at noon on the second Monday of each month. Topics are selected by questions and by mistakes being made in the field. My name is Tom Hunt, and I'll serve as your host and moderator. In this, the May 10th issue, we had a recording problem, so we'll pick up a minute or two into Tony's discussion of the National Fire Protection Association Code 90B. But before we get started, Tony began by speaking about hot springs permitting the discharge of 90-plus furnace condensate into the wastewater system. Hot Springs Inspector Aaron Shaw worked with the Hot Springs Wastewater Division, who made the final approval. This slide demonstrates the approved discharge method. It's work that can be easily done in new construction, but it must be done by a plumber. We hope that other cities will follow Hot Springs' lead, which will help Arkansans upgrade to high-efficiency furnaces. We also appreciate Paul at Sanders Supply for building the mock-up of an approved connection. The pictures of the mock-up can be saved from YouTube, or you can access the May issue of the Arkansas HVACR News Magazine by going to arhvacr.org and selecting News Magazine in the top menu. Then select May issue. Now, let's jump into Tony's explanation of NFPA 90B. Tony, there's some stuff in there in the code about the thickness of the metal. Let's talk about that. Now, we're talking about the thickness of the plenum, right?
Right. We're actually talking about this in this section is really talking about plenum. And I had an engineer get on there with me and I said, well, you need to check the code itself. We're talking about the plenum that's attached to the equipment, not the branch runs, not the trunk lines of the duct system. We're talking about the plenum itself. When you're laying that apparatus horizontally, that plenum is metal, non-combustible. Like I was telling you, at that 0.03, and you used to mark that, it could be a 27 or 28. They actually changed that to where you can clearly see it's a 0.016 and 0.19. Well, he's got it in that slide right there. We know the distributors don't stock 25 gauge metal, so we'd go to a 26, and we don't stock 27, so we'd go to a 28. If you can buy flat sheets of 28 gauge at your distributor from 14 inch and down, by all means use it. But most of the plenums, one side of that's going to be greater than 14 inches. So you'd be using a 26 gauge flat metal anyway. And the knock-up plenums you buy are 26 gauge.
One of the things that we get into next is how long does the plenum need to be?
Correct. Back on the first slide, your supply plenum, a minimum, back up one more if you could.
You go to right there.
Right there. There we go. All right. These are the minimum requirements. Now, we all know that a good design duct system, sometimes our plenums need to be larger than that. But these are the minimums that are you have to meet with NFPA. 2 foot on the return, 3 foot on the supply. A lot of times we see the 4 foot supply and 4 foot return. By all means, keep doing that. But these are the minimums. I know some of y'all have gone out behind folks and see people pan that thing off and try to put an airtight on there. No, sir, we don't do that. That's not been code. All these codes have been around a while, but these are the minimums we're talking about. Now, if we were to invert this picture vertically and say this is where you'd run into this on a change out on the furnace, you can add the distance of the evaporator coil. It's made of non-combustible material. And you say you had a 20-inch tall evaporator on there, to meet the actual code, you could do a 16-inch plenum. That sometimes creates a duct design issue, but I know where you'll run into this will be retrofit. You're going to roll up on one that's got one of those, and yeah, you can change it out. I mean, do your due diligence to make sure you get the most room you can, but 16 inches, it's 36 inches from the top of the heat exchanger or the top of the air handler. Those are where the measurements start.
And I think, Tony, one of the big issues here we're going to see in some pictures is that in some sections of the state, duct board and flex duct is very popular, and they may very well see some areas where they've been using duct board supply and return plenums, but this statement over here that says plenums must be metal, is that correct?
That is correct. That is correct. And I'll own that. I'll own it for the fact that we can talk about South Arkansas and the Delta area. And I've not done any training down there. And I'll own that and take it on my shoulders that I wasn't out getting that to the industry when I started 16 years ago. But we're getting it out to the industry now. And it's been around. And some of these guys do a great job with duct board. And if you legally just strictly wanted to do duct board, if you could do a 3-foot metal, then go with duct board, and a 2-foot and go with duct board. I think we have some pictures where guys have built duct board return chases that go up into the ceiling 2 or 3 foot and and then come in. That's legal here. The duct board can adhere to the appliance. That's what we're wanting to get strict out in the lunch and learn today. And it's a fire issue. That's what it is.
And there's, of course, we have some cities that will not allow you to use duct board or flex duct other than just there at the very end. So, you got to check with your city inspector. This does not change that, but it's never been permissible to use duct board for a plenum, has it?
No, sir, not to my knowledge. It has not.
It's funny to me the way the state is. We're a relatively small state. And here in Little Rock and Northwest down to the Southwest, you just don't see flex duct and duct board. But you go up to the northeastern part of the state, southeastern part of the state, they use a lot of duct board and a lot of flex duct.
They do in Texas as well. They do. Yep, sure do.
One other thing that I wanted to mention is that this particular link here is the link to get to the 90B manual that's available to you from the National Fire Protection Association. When you just go into the National Fire Protection Association and you start looking for 90B, if you're anything like me, you can spend a lot of time looking for it and can't find it. But this is the link. And by the way, this video will be available on YouTube, hopefully by the end of the day, and you can pull it back up and you can record it. And then you can have easy access. If you want to go purchase it, I think it's just a little over $50 for you to purchase it if you're interested in buying that particular manual. And I guess the other thing, Tony, we see a lot of guys who are residential get an opportunity to do a little strip mall or something here or there, and then they start looking at doing more like commercial. If they're going to do that, they sure need to get a copy of the NFP 90B and get with their inspector to make sure they understand that.
Yes, sir. Absolutely.
Different world.
It is.
Hey, here's some of the pictures that you have sent to me for us to look at today.
Yes. Okay. This was actually done and they had installed this with the pink board. You can't use the pink or the blue Owens Corning insulation board. All of your duct line, it must be plenum rated. It has a smoke development and a flame spread. And this was actually left open on the end so we could see. Now, you won't just attach this to wood. You will line the inside of your joist. It's going to be the duct liner all the way or duct board all the way through there. And then they piece this in. But you could look in through and see it was solid all the way through. That's what you're after. You can do that. That's a legal return chase utilized for duct board. You got the plumbing out of it. You got the PEX pipe out of it. Didn't need to be running through there. That's a legal return chase out of duct board. This is not. This, I mean, it looks good from a distance. You go up there and that's fine. But this is where we're talking about. It's got a 4-foot supply plenum and a 4-foot return plenum. These must be metal. Can't be the duct board. That return duct that you see going up, it goes over and drops into a duct board plenum coming up. That's fine. That's legal. But the appliance itself, you will have metal off left and right side. 2-foot return, 3-foot minimum on the supply side.
Now we're looking at duct board attached to the furnace, aren't we?
Yes, sir. You sure are.
So that's not legal.
That's not legal. No, sir.
And they'd have to take it apart. They'd have to redo it, wouldn't they?
You have to redo it.
Yeah.
There's your little air gap on the return side, as a matter of fact. So now you're sucking in all the stuff out of the attic in through the system as well right there.
One of the things that I hope people understand when we're doing these things is that we understand that everybody can make a mistake.
Sure.
I mean, this doesn't mean a guy's a bad guy. It means he just got a little careless one day. Or maybe he was about to finish it up and he got a phone call. I mean, who knows? It's not right, but we're not trying to say our industry is made up of a bunch of folks that don't care. We're just trying to say it's made up of folks that are human beings and make mistakes.
And I'll say with this one, this gentleman's been doing this for a long time, and he not really had issues. He's got an air leak there, and the system, and he had done his due diligence to support the flex duct, support the duct board, and he's had several units out there for years and no problem. He just was not aware of the fire codes. That basically is it. This is a nightmare here, though. This was a duct board put down on top of an air handler, and then he destroyed the plenum. There's no static, and it just takes off and goes up, and it just branches off of that sporadically. But in the next picture, you can see where he didn't even use a knockout on the air handler. He just poked it through the duct board and dropped it down and through the top of the air handler. And I like the condition.
Is that 3 sides of duct board, and he just then taped it to the plywood or something?
That's correct. He used one side of the sheetrock. That's exactly what he did. He's got 3 sides of duct board. Yes, sir. That's exactly what you're seeing right there.
I had not noticed that.
Yeah. Oh, you didn't notice it this morning?
No. I didn't really understand why he was doing all that taping there, and now it just finally came to. I see what he was doing.
Yeah. It's a dream job. And he just takes it, knocks it down in through the duct board, drops it down, and of course it's 10-2, and we got 20 kW's worth of strips and a blower on here. Well, it wouldn't work; it was trip, but so, yeah.
What I'm afraid of, Tony, is that I might have done the same thing at one point in my life. I don't know.
Yeah.
Without a little education, who knows what you might do?
That's right. These are interesting. This is on the job and left them there. So this comes with the unit, and it says in the installation instructions, you mount these to here, and this is what you screw your plenum to. So that's why they never use them with the duct board, and it's got a mastic seal system and everything. But I just put that up there to take the picture just for educational reasons.
I don't know why they put that stuff in there.
It's extra parts.
I just think it's funny because there, but by the grace of God, I might have got caught doing something like that at some point too. So
yes, sir.
But we're getting better by the day. I'm so excited about this continuing education. I am 100% convinced that in 5 years, we will see a totally different industry because our guys have learned what to do.
Yes, I agree with you.
Well, if you've got questions or compliments or complaints or code related issues, Labor and Licensing HVACR program suggests that you call 501-682-9201. 501-682-9201. And again, any of the slides that are important to you that you feel like you want to use, go to YouTube. It'll be ready by the end of the day, and we will send you a link on how to get there, and you can be able to download it, record it, whatever that you want to do. We're having, Tony, I'm having several contractors tell me that they're starting to use these as a training tool in their own training departments at their businesses. I want to thank everybody for tuning in. I want to thank the Department of Labor and Licensing for making this possible. I want to thank Tony for all the extra work that he goes through to spend his time, not only in the time that he spends on the program, but in preparing for it and helping me get the slides together. The HVACR Association's goal is to make sure that we do everything we can to give everyone the information that they need so that they can do a better job of installing, providing their customer a more comfortable, more energy efficient, effective HVAC comfort system. And we feel like that by doing this, what's going to happen is that we'll be able to do it better right the first time, and therefore wind up making more money because we don't have to go back and fix stuff. Inspectors will be happier because they won't have the same kinds of problems over and over and over. When it's all said and done, absolutely everyone wins. That's our goal, and I'm absolutely confident that that's the way it's going to turn out as a result of this continuing education. And Tony, thank you so much for the lunch and learn time.
You're absolutely welcome. And thank you.
All right, we'll sign off. Thank you very much for tuning in again.